when you're dealing with positive and negative energy, positive and negative energy has to have someone or something that has to control it. Now, this is a universal law to control positive and negative energy, because if you don't control positive and negative energy, it starts to be unbalanced. So the reason why I have this plug here is because you have the positive and you have the negative. The old plugs back in the day, they didn't have the central point, which was the breaker, which was the controller. Whenever positive and negative electrical energy would get too increased or too decreased, then there was nothing to control the balance of the breaker switch. So when you're dealing with positive and negative energy, it has to be controlled. Something or someone has to control it, or it will be unbalanced. It will get unstable. It will be unstable. Now I'm going to give you an example. When mankind been pushing on the radio, the thug, the hip hop mentality, that's the negative energy being pushed. Then you have the positive energy being pushed, which would be go to school, get your degree, get your diploma, and then be deployed into these corporations. That would be the positive energy. But somebody has to control the positive and the negative energy. Just like on this extension cord, the plug-in, they had the positive and negative energy was unstable, so they had to put a breaker in it. The middle part, the control center, it's the breaker switch. You have to control positive and negative energy. You don't want to be positive and you don't want to be negative. You just want to look at everything as it being clear on the rational decisions that you made, not positive or not negative. So are you going to call this a positive effect? Someone breaks into your house and you end up killing that person. Was that positive or was that negative? Or was it both? See, you have to think, because you could say it was positive because you protected your household. Then you could say it was negative because you ended up having to take somebody's life. So it's either or. Positive and negative energy go hand in hand. The real power is in the center point, the control, the breaker. Making decisions based on the outcome that's going to move you forward, your family or your community forward. Because and when somebody says that they're doing something positive, that means in the future that they're going to do something negative. That's all that means. But if you talk to somebody and they're telling you, well, I have to make a rational decision, a logical decision, they're not telling you that they're positive or negative. They're just stating to you that they're just going to do what they have to do. That's going to help, 1, themselves, 2, their family, 3, their community. That's what that means. So when somebody says, I'm positive, I'm doing something positive today, my head, I'm like, okay, you're doing something positive. So tomorrow you're going to be doing something negative, because we already know there's nobody perfect. The people that are in power, They don't run off of positive and negative. They run off the center point, the breaker. That's what they run off of. So when you have savages in the streets doing positive and negative things, because if you look at each history of a so-called gangster, gangbanger, thug, they would do something. They would do something negative, and then they would do something positive to balance it out. But all they're doing is going back and forth, the teeter-totter. Now, when you use the breaker, the control point, then you're orchestrating what goes on. You're the puppet master. You control the people. You control the puppets. That's what the middle breaker is, a control system point. Positive and negative. They go hand in hand. So when you look at these judges and they have to make a decision, or the jury, it's the judges, sometimes it's the judge, sometimes it's a jury, they have to make a decision off positive and negative behavior. As you watch these trials, and they're testifying and they're telling you all the good things somebody did, and then all the bad things that they did, dealing with the defendant. That's the positive and negative. The mind frame of positive and negative, even that won't be in the future. All these videos that I'm making is letting you know the stuff that I'm telling you guys about, it's not in the future. This is a warning. This is a warning. So the videos that I make, I'm letting you know that this stuff isn't in the future. So when somebody represents that now, saying that they're positive or saying that they're negative or they're both, it's just like a CSI investigation. That just means that they're not in the future. Their reincarnation will come to an end eventually. Positive energy, negative energy. The center point is the breaker. The breaker controls it. Just like chaos and confusion. That's positive and negative. When you have these riots, people are going out there on a positive note, trying to march. And then you have people out there on a negative note, trying to riot. It goes hand in hand. But then you have the ones controlling and sending people in to start these riots and start these protests. What is that? That's the breaker point. That's the one controlling the positive and negative energy. The central control system through the electrical current, the electric quad. And one of the best conductors for electricity is copper. One of the best conductors is copper for electricity. So controlling the positive and negative energy is where you want to be at mentally. That's why a lot of these people on the internet can't take those people even serious. You still talking about Ice Cube, Donald Trump, reparations being accepted by these other races. And you definitely are not going to be in the future. You're going to fade away. There's only so many chances you get in this three-dimensional realm. You only get 9 chances. That's where the term um, cats have 9 lives, because in this three-dimensional realm you only get 9 tries. That's it, and then you're stuck in this prism. And then if you get stuck here, then you'll be consumed by spiritual energy, and then you will fade away into nothing, into the abyss, to the black hole. You will be nothing. Because when you're dealing with the quantum physics, and you're dealing with a quantum computer, it reads codes of ones and zeros, right? So you have a 1 and a 0, which equals a 10, or you have a 0 and a 1, which equals 1. So there's only 9 tries you get, because you're not going to get a 10th try, because the 10th try the 1 equals the fourth dimension, and the 0 equals the last 3 dimensions, 3, 2, and 1. So you only get 9 tries to move forward. Like in the Bible, they say that the heavens, because mathematically, dealing with quantum physics, you can only get 9 tries in this realm. So that's why when people talk about, like I said before, people talk about Donald Trump, or they're talking about Ice Cube, reparations, wanting something from mankind, trying to be accepted by all the other races, letting them post up in your neighborhoods, belittling you when they go home to their families, talking stuff about the so-called black woman, but they're always trying to put their penis in the so-called black woman. That's why, man, you black women, you so-called black women out there, you shouldn't be giving them none of that. You shouldn't. You personally, you do whatever you want to do. But I'm just saying that's where the power's at. The reason why the so-called black race ain't in power, or don't have none, is because they're always trying to be accepted by everybody, holding hands, singing kumbaya. Because just because you don't mess with other races on that basis, not even really mess with them, conceiving with them. Like I said, you can do what you want to do. You have the freedom to do what you want to do. But look at it a deeper aspect. Getting gunned down by the police, building up all these other races that come from different countries, building their communities up, not taking stuff serious that's being in your face every day in this three-dimensional realm. You only live once. Putting faith into your jobs. I don't even want to use the word faith. That's a religion word. Depending on your jobs. And I'm gonna tell you though, my energy and my soul is so hot, my aura is so hot. I had went into a Arab store for a female friend of mine. I went in there to grab her some stuff, and the way the Arabian was looking at me, because I had a certain shirt on, I had a certain hat on. So the way that the Arabian was looking at me, he was more, and plus I'm clean cut. I came in there clean cut, and then you had, cats in there sagging, dreadlocks, you know, uh, what's those skinny jeans called? They had on the jean spandex. Um, what's the one pants called? I forgot what they're called, but those tight pants with the dreadlocks. There was a lot of them in there. But whose energy? Why was he mean mugging me? You know why? because he could feel my soul. He could feel that I wasn't feeling him. I wasn't feeling a whole aura vibration that he was giving out, because I already know that their agenda, they just use the so-called black race. You know, they get a store in the hood, they save their money, build their credit, they get a loan from the bank, and then they go build a bigger store in the suburbs, and then hire so-called white people to work in there so it don't look like they own it. I already know what they own. But do they put some money back in the community? No. Whose fault is that? That's the so-called black race's fault. That's whose fault that is. I don't even go to them stores. Every time I go to a store like that, it's for a friend or an associate, but it's never for myself. It's always for an associate. That's the positive and negative energy. I want everybody to accept you. How you gonna want to be accepted by another race when half of them go home and talk stuff? They really do. But the positive negative energy, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, the internet so people are so dumbed down on the internet, I can't even watch their videos, because they're always talking about something old, never coming with nothing next. Always talking about some politics, but you don't see. That's why the so-called black race, man. Some of them are real freaking hilarious, man. You don't see no other, like, there's a big Somalian community here in Minnesota. They ain't on the internet, on social media, talking about Trump, Ice Cube, um, police brutality being accepted. You know why? Because they have a community and they're not worried about that. That's why I said black and white is the same. Now, when you go, if you know they're the same. Go When you look at these talk shows. Who do you see on these talk shows on a consistent basis? You see so-called black people, so-called white people, because they're living off the positive and energy. They're living off the yin and the yang. They're going back and forth with each other. That's why I said, man, all you gotta do is not see the thing about the so-called black race. They don't know in their mind. All they gotta do is stop messing with the system. Period. But they ain't gonna do that. That's why separation has to take place, because they're not gonna do that. They're gonna still, you know, they're gonna still go to college, try to be in some basketball NBA team, try to um, go sit and be interviewed by some so-called beast man, and sit there and get interviewed, and he throwing y'all under the damn bus, chasing some type of money. But then what? What happens when you don't have a foundation? What happens? Your children, they become worse than you. They become dependent on the system. And where does that leave the next generation? Still slaves under the beast. It's the activated one, New Brighton, the Futuritarian, Peace, or Josiah.